Attention small business owners, somebody that I talk to on a daily, that's an entrepreneur. She told me to do a video about recruiting, pretty much talking about why it's so hard to find good people, but also to retain good people. You know what I'm saying? So there's a couple different terms that I've been using for years. One of them is hire slow, fire fast. Unfortunately, most business owners, they hire fast and they fire slow, meaning they hold on to people way too long, or they hire people that they probably shouldn't have, right? But if you own a small business, or if you're in any type of business where you have to recruit, just understand this: you have to sell to survive and recruit to retire, because no matter what business you're in, you're going to eventually have to recruit people to actually run the business without you. And unfortunately, that is probably one of the biggest challenges I see with business owners, because that takes leadership, that takes a lot of different skills, how to run people, manage people, how to get authority, how to not get too close to people, because we're human beings. So you recruit people, you hire people, and then you become really close with them, but then you lose a lot of your authority with them when you don't just stay the boss, right? So there's another thing we used to use back in the day when I used to recruit and train salespeople, and that was be friendly, firm, but never too familiar. And pretty much simply, you know what friendly and firm is, but not being too familiar means not going and partying with your people, not going outside of the business unless it's like a family day or something like that. So I think a lot of times people get too close to their employees, and then what ends up happening is this person starts to take you for granted, and then you hold on to them because you have such a great connection with them that you don't want to fire them, right? But let's go back to the point. So for me personally, I've been recruiting since I was a teenager for all types of different organizations. I've recruited for other sales organizations. I've recruited for my own business. And I remember we used to run ads in the newspaper. That's how back I go when it comes to advertising, that I used to do newspaper ads. And I used to recruit people on MySpace. That's how far I go back. But when I was recruiting for salespeople specifically. But I had a business where I had to recruit people for a call center. I had to recruit people for a shipping department. And I'm the type of person that I will fire you quick, right? Like if you do anything to hurt my business, or you disrespect me, right, in our setting, that's it. There's no hold bar. I'm done. You're not working for me. I've had to lay off my family members. I've had to lay off in-laws, because at the end of the day, we're running a business here, right? But to go back to talk about the recruitment, anytime I recruited people in any business, one of the things that we did, we had a very strict vetting process, meaning not only did they have to fill applications and things like that, give us references, all that good stuff, but we had a certain process of elimination, right? Even if we recruited you for the sales team, right? Because maybe you said something in the interview that made us believe that you might be somebody that would be a great candidate for us and eventually become management material and run your own location and office, all good. But even then, once they start from the beginning, I'm holding them accountable on everything that I expect, because here's one of my favorite quotes: inspect what you expect, right? And a leader tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Unfortunately, for most people that are in a business and have a group of people, they lack that skill of being able to have no emotions into it, keep it strictly about business, right? And giving people warnings and then being able to let them go. I don't know how many business owners that I've met that they'll have an employee on the team that just has a terrible attitude about them, right? I just went to a restaurant the other day, and there was a lady talking to one of the customers and just talking mad trash about the restaurant. And I'm thinking, why has this woman not been fired yet? Because she's not good for morale, right? So one of the things we used to talk about, and when I recruited salespeople, is we have the warrior, worker, whiner, weasel, right? And warrior is somebody that you don't have to tell what to do. Once you give them the task at hand, they can lead and do it without any effort, and they go above and beyond, and those are your best people, right? So if anything I do for my company should be supportive of that kind of behavior, right? Then you got the workers. Those are the people that are gonna just do enough, they're gonna stay on, they're just gonna do what's expected of them, but they're not gonna go above and beyond, and they're not gonna try to lead or try to help or solve problems. They're just gonna work, right? Then you got the whiners, right? The whiners are the type of people that basically work for you and they complain all the time, right? I don't have too much of a problem with whiners, but I will definitely check a whiner and tell them, what by whining all day, how does that solve any problems? But the one that you need to look out for when you have a company is the weasel. The weasel is the person that not only does whining, but wants everybody to whine with them. They'll say things like, we think this, we think that. And then I remember when I used to be confronted with people that would, when I ran a sales team, they would literally, you'd have one person say, well, I think we should. I said, wait, who's we? And then anytime I've ever done that, everybody in the room would just get quiet and say, I'm not with her on that, or I'm not with him on that. So I've had people challenge me many times when running sales organizations, but also running my own companies. At one time I ran a seminar business and I recruited a bunch of people to help me set up. I recruited people to speak for me. I recruited people to be at the table to sell or help customers fill out the order form so they can sign up for a program that we're offering that day. But I'm guilty of holding on to people too long that I should have fired sooner, because what ends up happening by holding on to people that are not for the vision, they're not there to help you grow as an organization. Because don't forget, you pay them, so their job is to do what you need them to do, right? And I'm guilty of holding on to people that eventually will ruin morale and try to get everybody else in the organization on board with them because they're mad at you, right? And that's unfortunate, because most business owners, they see it, but they're worried, right? What if I fire them, then everyone else is gonna quit? Well, that goes back to that you held on to that person months, maybe even a year too long. As soon as you've seen the poor behavior, you should have fired them. But to go back to the recruiting process, so one of the things that I know that why I was able to recruit good people and I was able to get people that stayed with me long in different organizations is because, again, I set expectations. This is what we expect from you. This is your job. I didn't let people fight with each other. I mean, a friendly competition here and there is not bad, but I didn't let people become a poison for the organization because you're hating on this person because they're doing this, or then you're trying to back talk about this person because they're doing better than you. It's funny that when you have good people, they're the ones that never complain and whine. But when you have the other people that are not doing their job and they're not up to expectations, or especially in a sales organization, they're not making any sales, they blame everybody but themselves for the reason why they're failing, even though there's other people in the organization that is doing incredible. Why are you not, right? Because it goes back to what I said. You have warriors, those are the people you want, and cater to them. You got the workers that you need, right? They're just gonna do their job, don't expect nothing more. You got the whiners, but what you could do with whiners is put them with a worker, put them with a warrior, because maybe they don't see what kind of attitude you need to have in order to be successful in this organization, right? And then the last one is the weasel. Once you know there's a weasel in your organization, this is something that you must do. Fire them immediately, because if you do not, they will eventually basically poison everybody else, and then literally now you're going to lose your whole organization, right? I mean, I've had people that work for us that would say, this is not a real company, or they would say like, this is a scam. So then we're all not making money right here. We're all not successful, have successful offices making $60,000 to $100,000 a year take home. That's not real. No, it's not real to you, because you, my friend, basically don't believe in yourself. And I used to do a speech about that. You got to believe in the leader. You got to believe in the opportunity that you're within the company. You got to believe in yourself. And you got to believe in one more thing, and I can't remember it on the top of my head. But the most important thing that I would always say to people, like, you could have a crappy leader, but if you believe in yourself, that doesn't matter. You could have an organization that's pretty much not as organized, and you could still succeed in that organization because you believe in yourself. And once you do that, I think that's the number one thing. When anytime I've recruited people or I've hired people, they just didn't believe in themselves. So it is my goal as a leader to basically help them do that. So I would love to go more in detail this video, but I only wanted to do a 10-minute thing. I hope this helps. And if anybody has questions on things you can do right now in order to recruit people, right? But also recruit quality people so that you guys can run your organization smoothly and you don't have to do everything. And last thing I'll say to business owners, just know that no one's gonna ever be as good as you. If I can get someone to be 80% as good as me, that's good enough, right? Unfortunately, most business owners are very strict. I want it my way. I want it my way. We understand that, and you are setting the expectations, but don't ever think anybody's gonna have as much passion and drive for your organization than you do. So learn that quickly. If you can get that person up to 80% to your level, you have a success.